Greetings, everyone. It is Isaac Wells, the voice of Internet's Skeletor. You're watching Dragonfire Entertainment. And remember, listening to a podcast before bedtime is the adult version of story time. Until we meet again.
Hey everybody, welcome to What's Your Poison, and as always, I'm Wildman Wes. Recently, Becca and I went to go see her family out in Colorado, and while we were out there, we decided we wanted to hit up at least one brewery. And actually, in the town that her parents live in Buena Vista, Colorado, we were able to go to Eddyline Brewery, and we tried out quite a different amount of beers, and I wanted to share some of them with you today. So we have 5 beers, so we're going to make sure we go through these pretty short and sweet. So, ready? Ready. First up today we have Buena Beer Pilsner. This is a 4.5 ABV Pilsner that has a dry hop with a little bit of maltiness in there and a floral finish. This one I would dare say is one of their pillars, their standard bearers of their beers, because I mean most breweries, they'll have their standard, and usually it's a lager or an ale or a Pilsner, and this I would dare say is, and honestly it's very crisp, it's very fresh, and there is possibly a hint of lemon in there. I mean, I would put this up next to any of the ones that are kind of those boat drinks. So here we go. We're going to take a little sniff. It's very light, getting a bit of that malt on there. So here we go. That is smooth. That is crisp. It is tasty. Very dry. I don't necessarily hate beers that are dry, but sometimes they definitely dry out the palate, where I think that's where they get you. They make you want to drink a little more. And if that's the case, well, I mean, I'm sold on that one. I would say on this one, for my palate, I would probably go with about a 4 2/4 pow. Because, I mean, this one is up there, but it's not necessarily one that I would probably drink a lot of. But I mean, if that's something that you're into, I recommend it big time. So with that being said, we're going to move on to our next beer for today. Next up today, we have Kickin' Back Amber Lager. Like Buena Beer, this too is 4.5% in ABV. It is a Vienna-style lager, and it has a little bit of a roasty toastiness to it with German and American hops. So we're going to pop this one open too, because I remember this one very well. Becca liked this one. I think this was probably one of her favorites out of the bunch. As you can see, we've got a nice dark roasty color on this. Very good head consistency. Very toasty. Very toasty, and I like that. This is definitely, I would say, best for like a fall beer. But, I mean, hey, even in the wintertime, sometimes even a amber lager could be a winter warmer, you know? So here's to it. It's a bit nutsy. Yeah, no, definitely, this is very toasty. It has a lot of nice nutty malt in there. I mean, it also almost has a little sweetness, kind of like caramel or caramel, I don't know, ask Shaq, he knows better than I do. But regardless, I mean, I can understand why Becca would probably choose this as her favorite, because, I mean, it's very pleasant, it's not too hearty, it's not too light either, it's very middle ground when it comes to the palate and the mouthfeel on this. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a perfect beer, but it's damn near close. I'm going to say 4 3/4 pow on this one. I mean, I like this one. So I'm going to keep drinking away on this one, and we'll be right back for our third beer today. For our halftime portion of the day, we have Pumpkin Patch Pale Ale. This is a 4.8 ABV percent. It has natural pumpkin in there, it has some spices, and a little touch of honey. I had this on tap, and I really enjoyed this one. However, when it comes to pumpkin beers, I'm a little, you know, I have my reservations. And I mean, even with Hefe from Beer You, Beer Me, he can say the same thing too, because a lot of these can be hit or miss, and hey, we've had some rough pumpkin beers in the past. But this one, hopefully in can, it's probably just as good on tap, I hope. Okay, so we're definitely getting a nice golden color on this one. Very good carbonation on this. A little cloudy, which is also because of probably using that natural pumpkin, so... Oh, okay, I'm getting cinnamon, pumpkin, maybe a hint of nutmeg, just a little bit, because I mean that is a little bit of a bitter spice, so I mean, hey, here we go. Oh, just as good in the can as it is on tap. Now I remember why this is my favorite beer that I had while I was there. 5 out of 5, because with the taste, the flavor profile of the pumpkin, the spices, the honey, you wouldn't know that this is a pale ale. This almost tastes pretty much like a pumpkin lager or just a standard pumpkin ale. And I mean, literally, I wouldn't say it's necessarily deceptive, but it is rather tasty. And I think Linus from the Peanuts gang would probably enjoy a good sip of this while he's waiting for the Great Pumpkin. So, you know, when he comes, right? Other than that, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with our next beer. Next up today, we have Raspberry Wheat. This is a 5% ABV ale with raspberries from Oregon, and it also is colored with vegetable juice. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, why is there vegetable juice in a beer? I mean, hey, when you're watching something like What's Your Poison with somebody like me, you're gonna see some obscure beers with some obscure ideas. Even though raspberry wheat isn't necessarily obscure, because there are a lot of wheat beers out there with fruit in it. The first one I ever remember having when I was in college was the Leinenkugel Berry Weiss, and I wasn't a big fan after a while. It tasted good to a degree, but then have you ever had that situation where you've been hung over on something and you never want to touch it again? Berry Weiss was that for me. So I had reservations before I tried this one, but when I did on tap, it was actually pretty good. So hopefully with the can, it's going to have that same style of flavoring. Ooh, that color is nice. Nice and pinkish red. I like that already because you can tell they use those raspberries very, very decently and liberally. I like that. Okay. I'm getting that raspberry. To be honest, it almost smells like a sour because it has that nice acidic aroma that hits your nose and goes, we're into something. So here we go. And I love how that head's dissipating a little bit, so we're into something interesting. Well, here we go. Yeah, I mean, it's a little different from when it was on the tap. Not necessarily bad, it's just what I mentioned earlier about how the aroma kind of smells like a sour ale. This comes off more as a sour ale than it does as a wheat. And I mean, I'm getting a little bit of that wheatness, but I'm perplexed a little bit. And it's not that I'm sitting here dogging the beer, it's just, it's a little bit different in the can than it was on tap. Maybe it could have just been from the carbonation, I'm not sure. But another sip, let's see what happens if maybe my mind is playing tricks on me. Okay, after a couple sips, I've noticed that I am getting a little bit more of that wheat texture when I'm drinking it. So, yeah, this one, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to say 4 out of 5. I mean, I was thinking 3 3/4, but I'm going to go with 4 because the flavor profile is pleasant. I would say this might be a 2 and done for me because one and done for this one, it doesn't seem proper. It just I feel like you need to give this one more credit, and that's why I want to give this one more credit on that one. So that being said, I'm going to sip on this a little bit more, and then we're going to move on to our last beer of today. For our last beer in this lineup, we have Cold IPA Day in the Sun. This is a 7% ABV fermented lager with Mosaic, Simcoe, and Cascade hops. This sounds interesting, and to be honest, I haven't had this one yet. I only saw it on their 4-packs and 6-packs and whatnot in their gift shop, and I'm very excited because when I think of IPAs and pale ales, I never think of the concept of like lager or anything like that. So this one, I guess you could say, is considered a hybrid, and just all the hops that are in here right now is making me think dank. It's making me think earthy, and at 7% with those hops, I have a feeling it's going to be very refreshing and very just tasty. And plus, I mean, as I was mentioning with the artwork earlier on the can, I mean, this gnome on here is chilling in the water with a dog. And I'm just thinking, you know, it's Colorado, and normally at the areas that, you know, Becca's family lives in Colorado, it gets really cold. So, dude, you are the baddest of the badasses, my friend, and I don't know how you do it. Okay, enough of getting up this gnome's hat. Let's just open this up, and we're gonna have ourselves some taste, because I'm excited. A little cloudy. When I started first pouring this, it almost looked clear and clean, but man, oh, never mind. I mean, slightly hazy. I mean, at first it looked transparent, but man, once I saw some of the carbonation and the hops going in there, man, oh, and we got ourselves a nice little tornado going in there. I like that. It's got a nice yellow, like almost neon yellow on this one. Ooh. I'm loving the smell already. It's dank. It is so dank. Oh man. All right, enough stalling. I gotta have a sip of this. Yup. Whoo! That is smooth IPA hybrid lager. You know what? It tastes a little boozy at 7%, which is, you know, it's blowing me away a little bit. My mind is going, but this, I mean, damn! This is great. I love this one. 5 out of 5, you know, because some people might say, well, Wes, one of your favorite styles is IPA, so you're going to be biased. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to be biased on that one because, like I mentioned before, I was not prepared for this one, and you know what? I'm glad I wasn't, and I'm glad that I'm giving it the grade that it truly deserves. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode for Eddyline Brewery. If you are in the Colorado area, especially in Buena Vista, go to their tap room and try out a lot of these beers. I mean, not just the ones that are on this episode, but I mean, check out their other lineup too, because I guarantee if the ones that we had today are as good as they've been, I'm sure the other ones that we didn't try, they're probably just as good. Also, make sure you leave a thumbs up if you've had these beers and agree with me, and if you don't agree with me, you can leave a thumbs down too. I totally get it. Not every beer is for everybody. But other than that, make sure you share on social media, push that little red button, and ring the bell for instant notifications. Also, make sure you check out my friend Hefe at Beer You, Beer Me. I'm looking forward to a lot of the posts that he's going to be putting up. And also check out Beard Wizard Man, because he does some beer stuff from time to time, as well as checking out some live performances of music. And I need to start getting back into the music myself, but you know what? I got a lot more beer on my hands than I'd care to admit. Other than that, I'm Wildman Wes, and we'll see you next time on What's Your Poison or any of the other content that we have here on Dragonfire Entertainment. Take care. Thanks for watching. Cheers.